I find that, I just think it's almost un-American.
My name is Matthew Bodie. I'm a senior from Elgin, Nebraska. Several Eastern European countries have successfully enacted a flat income tax, and now there is growing pressure in Western Europe to do the same. Would you support the United States adopting a flat income tax, and why or why not?
Well, I wouldn't support it. You'd be amazed how flat it is already. If you look at both the payroll tax, which is over 12% now, and that applies on the first $80,000 or $90,000 of income. So Bill and I pay practically none of that in relation to our income. The people that work for us, it's a big, big tax. So if you take the tax that my assistant or anybody in our office pays, they've got 12% on that first $80,000 or $90,000, and then they have the income tax. And their tax rate, literally, in many cases, is not, well, it's the same and maybe even higher than my own tax rate, since they cut the rate on capital gains to 15% and dividends to 15%. So what has gone on in this country in the last, well, in very recent years, is a huge benefit to the very rich, and not that much relief to people down below. And people, when you read about tax rates, they usually leave out the payroll tax, and they don't refer to this 12 and a fraction percent. So we have come, in my view, to a taxation system that's much too flat in this country, and frankly, I think that Bill and I should have a higher tax rate on the income we get. We pay a lot of taxes, but it's really at a very low rate, and it's a rate that's less than half the tax rate that I was paying 25 years ago when I was making a lot less money. They have really taken care of the rich.
Yeah, I go along with that wholeheartedly. I think we probably need a more progressive system as we look to balance the budget, that at some point I think people recognize that needs to be done. Probably one of the ways that will be done is that the rich should bear a somewhat higher proportion of the burden than they do today. Very large fortunes never go through an income tax. Maybe it's a little ironic, but both Warren and I would say things in several aspects of the tax system should be more progressive.
I could spend the rest of my life, and I could have done this 20 years ago, and actually pay no federal income tax, because I could have taken my Berkshire Hathaway stock, borrowed some money against it every year to live on, and when I died, then the estate would pay off the debt on it. But I could have gone through my life, a good bit of my life, without paying any income tax whatsoever. And I frankly think it's very unfair.
Hi, my name is Dan Senft. I'm a senior finance major. My question is, the Forbes 400 puts your collective net worth at $91 billion. By comparison, that figure exceeds the combined gross domestic product of the bottom 70 nations in the world. How do you feel that your immense wealth contributes to the balance of global prosperity?
Yeah, well, the wealth, in effect, is a bunch of, the prosperity comes about through the products that Microsoft turns out. They're changing the lives of millions and millions of people. In the process, you get these eventual claim checks on society's output. These little pieces of paper that I've got in a vault called stock certificates, can be turned in at some point to get goods and services of one sort or another. Basically, the money is going to go in a way that we think will have the most impact, beneficial impact on society, viewed on a global basis, not just on a national or regional basis. It will go, we hope, as intelligently as we can make it go, to change the lives of people all over the world. Now, there's two factors that enter into it. That's the amount you leave or put into charity, and then how efficiently you do it. Bill and Melinda, in my view, they run the largest one, but I would say they also, certainly among all the big ones or anybody that I know about, they run the most efficient one. They have literally said to themselves, how do we use this money to change in a major way for the better the lives of the most people in the world? What could be more rational? So they've combined what I would call head and heart with huge sums of money, and no one's gotten a result, in my view, like they have.
Yeah, I think the key point here is that owning, Warren owns a big piece of Berkshire. I own still a measurable piece of Microsoft. That's not consumption. What the limited resources of society you hit those limits as you consume. And so somebody who makes, say, $50 million and chooses to, just build mansions and have things happen for them, they are diverting resources in their direction instead of those resources being used, say, to help out people who are less successful. And so, in fact, if you can accumulate some of society's wealth through luck and skill and then make sure it's used on behalf, that the consumption overwhelmingly goes to the less fortunate, it's a little bit like Robin Hood. You're recycling wealth from that top part back, and it's incumbent on the people, the higher up that list you are, the more, in a sense, there's a responsibility to put not only the wealth but your brain power into those activities.
I am Allison Mack, a senior marketing major. As college students, we're constantly thinking and planning towards the future. Where do you personally envision yourself to be in 10 years?
I'm glad you didn't ask my doctor. If I'm in decent health, I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now because I'm doing what I love now. I mean, if I could do almost anything that doesn't require any athletic or mental ability. What do I choose to do? I choose to jump out of bed every morning and run down and work at Berkshire Hathaway, and I don't see anything that changes that. I'm doing what I love, and health will determine how long I can keep doing it. But I've told my children that when I start going gaga and spend my time spinning yo-yos and things like that, that they're to come to me and tell me that it's time to step down. But I've told them they better all come as a group, because if just one comes, I'm going to take them out of the will.
10 years from now, I'll be turning 60. I have to say, every time the age 10 years older than me always seems like that's when I'll be old. When I was 40, I thought 50 would be that mark. Now that I'm very close to that, I think, no, that's not being old. My life's work in terms of creating a company is certainly around Microsoft. Over the next 10 years, my balance between the time I spend on philanthropic things versus my full-time job will switch somewhat in the favor of doing philanthropy, spending more time on that. It does mean I need to get one of the great young people at Microsoft to sort of get on the hot seat of setting the product strategy, which is a great part of my job. I love my job. It's an amazing job. I'll always be able to have some mix of Microsoft and then a bit more philanthropy.
Hello, my name is Paul Turnus. I'm a senior business administration and music major from North Dakota originally. I was wondering, what is your definition of success, and what has been your largest non-business success in life?
Well, we played ping pong against a 9-year-old girl in San Francisco. 2 weeks ago, her name's Ariel.
Yeah, how many points did you get?
She got up. Bill got more points off her than I did. I thought I was pretty good, too. And this little 9-year-old, disgusting. She should have been in bed. She totally cleaned us. No, that was a little humiliating.
I'd say in my case, my goal for success outside of work is definitely raising a family. Just getting started with that. And I think there's some unique challenges of when a parent is very visible and has money and things like that. It's not easy in any case to raise kids the right way. But I'd say I hope to be successful at that. So far I haven't caused them any damage. They seem to be doing okay.
We get a lot of people that want us to adopt them. I mean, he's working on his children, I'm working on my great-grandchildren, but otherwise we got the same approach. I would say this in terms of success. This will surprise you. But I would say I've never known anybody that got to my age or close to my age that had lots of people that loved them that felt anything other than a success. I mean, you have lived a successful life if, as you get older, the people that you hope love you do. And that includes your family, your business.